second topic, you mentioned this, man, and I don't know, for me, Trev, it's like almost you can talk about a topic too much as pundits want to latch on to, that everyone wants to talk about Florian Wirtz and what's wrong, what's not happening. And yet I watch games like the City one, and I'm like, if you think Florian Wirtz was the key problem in that, you probably need to watch it again. I'm not saying he was good, but, look at everything else. But you've got the Neveler coming out with stuff like that, haven't you? Famous lines, that cheap interactions, aren't they? Wirtz is a problem. I thought he looked like a little boy. He's getting it tight from every angle of the British media, Florian Wirtz, right now, isn't he?
He is. And look, I'll be straight up and say that it's the first time I've ever heard anything I said echoed by Gary Neville, because the thing I said on Raw afterwards was that there were times when it looked like he was a younger guy playing with men, which is essentially the same point, because he did get monstered in the physical, at least to the eye test he did.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to impose any sort of dominance in any period in that game. And it just, I think what we have to do, though, is weigh it up. And the way you framed it, I thought was spot on. It's not like he's the problem. The problem in the City game was a lack of application across the board. We've got a lad there who's, like you said, earning 220 grand a week and is now the face of Bentley Motors in the UK. And, I mean, he's not pulling up any trees. You've got Mo Salah, who's the greatest footballer that any of us have seen for years, performing for Liverpool, who looks like a shadow of himself. I saw him for Egypt there today. You know what the difference is? Big old smile on his face.
Yeah.
I have this thing, I have this theory that there's something a little bit awry, and I hope it's not as massive as my darkest place that I go to is there a possibility with all the coming and going and with some of the players nearing the end of their time at the club, is there a possibility that there has been a shift away in the dressing room from complete support and faith in the manager? Because that's where I start to really worry. And the reason I bring that up, Dave, is because Florian Wirtz is going to be the one who suffers most as a result of anything that happens like that, because Arne had sold him a dream, and it's turned out to be an absolute nightmare for the kid. You would not be surprised if he was thinking, what the fuck have I done here? Why have I done this? One day he's playing up on the right-hand side. Next, he's playing the left-hand side. He's in a pivot. He's the 10. He's all over the shop. It's a point you've made really well in several shows. Nothing about the vision that he would have been sold by Slot has panned out. And he is not to blame for that. That's just lazy shit. If anyone is to blame for that, it's the manager for not tweaking things much earlier to take the pressure off him having to be seen as this orchestrator when it clearly wasn't working.
Yeah, and it clearly wasn't working. I mean, you talk about that City game, and it is right to say, it's the application of many, and he did get bullied off the ball at times quite easily. You can't ignore that. The facts are what they are. And yet, as you said, where he's been used everywhere, I mean, that's his heat map for the City game. And it literally looks like someone's dropped slug pellets all over the pitch, doesn't he? He's literally everywhere. So the one thing I did think in the game out of that one is, at least he's trying, he's running everywhere, or, he's trying to pick up the ball and make things happen. But often he got the ball and there was a bit of, is anyone going to help? Is he almost suffering at the moment from, we look at certain games, and we're all saying this all the time. What is the actual plan? Can anyone just, talk to me like I'm a 3-year-old or a golden retriever here? What is the plan with Florian Wirtz?
I know it's the easy thing is to pile on that kid because he was so expensive, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But you end up sounding like one of these absolute daft idiots that's got an account with loads of numbers in it, or the LFC something, and they just spout shite about players and full of invective and full of bile and full of reactionary nonsense. I feel nothing but sympathy for this. Am I frustrated that he's not playing? Yes. Am I frustrated that Alexander Isak hasn't done a hand's turn for us yet? Yes, I am. hugely. But
Yeah.
I cannot land where I'm angry at Florian Wirtz, because almost 80 to 90% of the issue is not him, because you can see, again, going back to the stats, you can see chance creation, you can see his impact in a game, despite the fact that everyone around him is underperforming massively, has still been quite good. So I feel nothing but sympathy for this kid, because whatever it is that we are doing in terms of, like you said, a plan, is not comprehensible to us as viewers, and clearly not comprehensible to the players, because they're, well, if it is, they're either deliberately not carrying it out or they don't understand it.
Yeah. I don't even know what you call Sunday, because people talked about how well we've done, and Slot had mentioned it, like, especially against Real, we were going to do a low block or a high press. There was no way we were going to be in between, and we will close the spaces. And yet against City, we seem to do the exact opposite, and everyone looks lost at the same time. And this is important to mention, because Florian Wirtz has specific attributes, specific skills that Liverpool bought him for. And you mentioned his chance creation, and, you know, one for the nerds, but it's fair to bring this in. Like, as it says there in this tweet, he's either the top or joint top ranked player in the Champions League this season in terms of open play categories for chances created, expected assists, big chances created as well. And it's funny in terms of, sometimes accounts, like you say, just spout nonsense, but you'll have seen some of the highlights or those compilation accounts, which are quite good to see as well. There was a brilliant one I saw today, Trev, which just had it's called Wirtz Getting Robbed. It's worth a search, people, as well. But you saw it where he created a chance and a Liverpool player should have taken it, or didn't get squared to him when he's an open goal, you know, just for a tap in and all that type of thing. And even Nagelsmann said, didn't he, in his press conference, that Wirtz is suffering, that Liverpool don't seem to want to pass him or shoot the ball at the right time as well. But it's hard to rally against that when you see stats for chances created, expected assists. You see him not getting the ball. You just kind of come back to that conclusion. We're just not using him or utilizing him in the right way.
I think so. And you did say a phrase there, the name of that compilation is Wirtz Getting Robbed. Ironically, that's the one that sticks in the craw most when you're watching games, is the fact that he can lose possession or that he can be beaten in challenges.
Yeah.
And for us to expect it to be any different was really daft. For us to expect that this guy was going to come in and be a physical monster who can stand up to the big groks that he's up against in the Premier League, we weren't really thinking. So we've either got to have a situation where we're moving forward an awful lot as a team, and he is directing that flow, so we minimize the amount of the other stuff. Or you have a situation where he's protected from having to do an awful lot of that by playing, let's say, on the left-hand side and getting involved. It's not like he doesn't track back. It's not like he doesn't work really hard. His distance covered in any given game is as high as anybody's. So I've nothing but sympathy for this kid. I really do. But at some stage, Dave, it's not going to be okay to say Florian Wirtz will be a great player for Liverpool, because it's getting tedious. It's getting tedious. And you do feel like this next chunk of fixtures could have an awful lot of say in, you know, whether or not there's buy-in for Arne long term. I don't think we get rid of anyone in the middle of the season, but I do think there might be big questions if we don't have a really good run off the back of this international break. And if we do have a really good run off the back of the international break, Florian Wirtz is going to have to be central to it.
Yeah, it does feel that way. We can't just, it's not sweeping statements, but we just can't keep pushing sort of any sort of judgment out, you know, forever until it comes good. That's not the way it works. And you mentioned the left as well there. And it's only one game, but you always think back to that Real Madrid game and how he was utilised there. And you thought it worked well with Robbo, because Robbo was able to sort of, you know, overlap, come into play. He pressed well, and he started on the left, but he wasn't on the left as the heat map showed, and he was all over. Surely, in essence, there's different ways of getting him in the team. People may think about the 10, but just on that left-hand side, it seems the smartest route at the moment, at least, doesn't it?
It does, in a way, to get our most creative players on the park at the same time. And people, I thought, made a very fair point that an awful lot of us were wittering about getting the old midfield back together, and it's the only way we can get through this.
Yeah.
And they were back together against City, and they were absolutely hapless as a unit. But I will say that there was so much to like about the previous match that there should be no reason why we can't recreate that. There should have been no reason why we couldn't recreate it against City. And it remains, I think, the most disappointing performance I've seen from a Liverpool team in years. I mean, I'm going back to Rodgers' era where I felt as disappointed. And there's been some stinkers under Klopp as well, but this was just abject. It was just shocking.
It felt 14-15, didn't it? When it was coming to the end, like just so disjointed, where you were like, what is going on?
It did, man. It did. And you know, we're not indulgers in hyperbole on this show. We don't do that. And, you know, if you're in the comments screaming that we're looking for Arne to go, that's absolutely nonsense. Nobody wants that lad to turn it around more than I do. You know, bald brethren need a chance in life. And I want him to do well. I love the guy. I think he's great. I think his personality is ideal for the club. But something is awry at the moment, whether it's all him or whether it's a combination of factors that we're maybe not even fully aware of. But something's very, very wrong at the moment. And here's the dream, man. Florian Wirtz playing well from the left. Alexander Isak playing through the middle, scoring goals. Why is that a dream? They're two fantastic footballers.
Yeah.
You know, this is the thing. When you used to have a kickabout and you'd get together the best possible group of your pals you could, you'd all just click because you were good footballers and the best players work well together. There's too much talk about plans here. There's something more basic awry. You know, and Wirtz is the main victim of whatever is awry within the club, within the vision for the club that's currently under Arne Slot. I think Florian Wirtz is the biggest victim of it.
Yeah, it's probably well phrased, and you'll have seen the reaction today. And this isn't dismissing it all. It's completely right to be looking at things like Liverpool struggles against the long ball and what the stats are showing there and how long they've been going. Of course, it's right to call that out. Liverpool's lack of physicality, the inability to progress it, pick up the second ball. All of that is completely correct. Needs to be fixed. There's no doubt about it. And as you alluded to, this feels like a pivotal run of games coming up, doesn't it? All the way through to Christmas. Football ain't played on paper, but when you look at where the opposition is in the table, there's a lot at home. You should be expecting a solid run if we're going to do anything this season. So I suppose with that and Florian Wirtz, Trev, does Arne Slot need to commit to something with this guy and say, right, you're going to be on the left, but with the freedom, does he need to sort of commit to a plan and stick to it with this player?
It's sticking out a mile that it needs to happen. And there's something probably a little bit willful about the fact that it didn't happen sooner. And when we did see him operate with great effect, you put that heat map up for the Real Madrid game. There was one particularly bright yellowy orange spot up on the right-hand side where he drifted across and got involved right on the byline on the right-hand side to great effect in the game. It was class. This is a guy who's just given a little bit of freedom to play across, but mainly from that left-hand side in an attacking capacity. Now, it's more complex than that. Everybody knows that. He'll have more duties than that. But let's be honest, the top of the midfield trio experiment did not work in any way, shape, or form. Did having the three lads back fix all our problems? Well, against City, you can see it didn't. But I still think 3 from those 4 need to start every game, including Curtis Jones in the mix.
Yeah.
And if we have that platform, if we have a comparatively settled defence, whether it's Robbo or Kirkez, it looks like it's Conor Bradley, and we know who it is at centre half. And then you can have a front line ahead of them of either Hugo or Alexander Isak, with Mo flanking, or maybe Mo stepping out every so often. We're going to have to approach that one at some point for our other attacking right winger that we signed during the summer. And Wirtz playing consistently in the team from that side. He'll work it out, Dave. He'll work it out. And if the manager gives him a chance to do that, he will adapt and he'll work it out. Now, will he be happy because he's not the 10 that he was promised? I don't give a shit, man. I just want us to start getting better, and I want him to start playing more consistently. And here, guess what? If he starts contributing goals and assists, I think he'll feel pretty damn okay, man. So yeah, that I think it's an absolute necessity to let him continue to play in that effective area on the left-hand side of the attack for a long run of games.
It's funny, isn't it? Football always have fashionable bits. We've been through periods where everyone wanted a 10 behind the lone front man, didn't they? You know, we've had all the formations, 3-5-2s and all this. What never goes out of fashion is playing well and winning. And if we're going to start doing that, Florian Wirtz is going to be absolutely central to it. And I suppose to segue into the final, it's almost like a bridging topic, this a little bit. And it sort of steers to what we've talked about so often. The Florian Wirtz conversation's been a bit, from some who are a bit wild. And it's a wider conversation of, did we get the summer wrong? Did we profile the wrong type of players? Did we go ballers? We didn't buy any physicality, DMs, things that we seem to be needing. Trev, I mean, we've talked about this and exchanged WhatsApp messages when we got the info. The fact that Antoine Semenyo is now back on the agenda solidly for January, and this isn't being derogatory about the player because he's got unbelievable physical gifts. I'm not sure he's the priority, but that's a different conversation as well. But just the fact he's back on the docket for January, is that not kind of a semi-admittance we got it wrong in the summer?
Like you said, you and I have both spoken about this privately, and you touched on it in a kind of very tactful way on the transfer show, without digging anyone out. But football is very much what have you done for me lately, and so if that is the metric that we're going to go by, then they got it wrong, because Alexander Isak hasn't played, and Florian Wirtz has been a shadow of himself. And the combination of Wirtz being shoehorned into the team and several other weird decisions involving fullbacks has meant Mo Salah was not central to our team and therefore ineffective for long periods. So the knock-on effect of all the recruitment has not been positive. So yeah, but now you'll also have people screaming in the chat rooms about they weren't bought for 5 months, they were bought for 5 years. Yeah, brilliant. Super. Dave, I'm hearing lads having chats over the last couple of days about how, winning the Premier League is now, I think Gibbo wrote something about this, about how winning the Premier League is now actually not the beginning of a period of dominance, but actually the end of something. And it's all about, it's almost like there's an inevitable collapse, and you have to prove yourself twice as much. And
why are we pretending we're butterflies and we've got to shed our skin and go back into a chrysalis and start it all again? Where is this coming from?
I understand people are clutching at straws, but it's all very maybe not butterfly, but snowflakey chat to me. I mean, there's enough good footballers there for us to be in the top 2, even or the top 3 if we're having if we're having a bit of a wobble. But it's gone to the dogs. It's been awful to watch, terrible stuff to watch. So in the bigger scheme of things, to answer your question, it doesn't look great for the overall vision of our recruitment team at the moment. And if you're saying Semenyo is the answer, and like you said, Indy Kayla hammering that one home on a regular basis, if he is the answer, what the fuck is the question? Because the question for me at the start of the summer was, how do we replace the dynamism of Lucho on the left-hand side? Don't tell me Cody Gakpo, because we were delighted we had the Cody versus Lucho option.
Yeah.
But now it's just Cody, is it? Okay, that's brilliant. Good thinking. But obviously Semenyo would make a difference on a flank. And if Mo was as flat as he's been, wouldn't it have been great to have him on that other side either? So yeah, it feels a little bit, Dave, and it's almost like, isn't it like sacrilege to say it about our exalted, absolutely hero worshipped.
Hail to the nerds,
all hail to Mickey and Richie and the boys. it's not looking great for them at the moment. And you can tell me it's 5 years, not 5 months, all you like. I'm enough of a shallow man to admit that I buy into the "what have you done for me lately" as well. In that I won't let us off the hook, but I also want it now. Right? We have enough good players, Dave, to be in the running for both big pots and have a real chance of winning one of them. At the moment, it feels a mile away.
We didn't buy this team like a TV and sort of a council house deal of like a stupid APR and buy now, pay later. This was not how it was supposed to work. So, yeah, that comes into the mix. And